Hello and welcome to Rock Whisper's video on how to clear your crystals. My name is Krista Mitchell. Some people do call me the Rock Whisperer, but I am a Crystal Reiki master teacher, and I'm going to be showing you today how to clear your crystals. So now you may be wondering what I mean by that. Basically what I mean is any crystal you get, either from a store, a friend, one that you find, in your aunt's attic, will have taken on other energy from those people, from those places. It could have absorbed it. It could still be in its energy field. And if you take that crystal and you start to work with that crystal before you've cleared its energy, you can take on some of that energy into your own, and it may not be beneficial. So before you work with a crystal or stone, you want to make sure that you always clear its energy. So I'm going to show you a few practical ways to do that. I've got a few very sexy, fabulous things here that are going to do that for us today. There are a lot of different ways that people talk about in terms of clearing stones. As I said, I like to keep things practical. I like to keep things easy. I don't have time to be me in a wood and a hood, on the full moon, dressed up in regalia, clearing crystals for hours. I sometimes have to clear 30, 40 crystals in a day if I've had a lot of private healing appointments that day. So I've found ways to do this that are really simple, effective, and aren't time consuming. Now, one quick note, a lot of people say to me, oh, well, can't you just bury them in a dish of salt and clean them in salt? I'm not a big fan in terms of using salt for clearing crystals. Salt can be really harsh. It can be really corrosive. It can actually damage a crystal's electromagnetic field, or what we commonly refer to as an aura. If you leave a crystal in a bowl of salt for too long, it may actually start to leach the natural energy out of your crystal. So I recommend staying away from salt. Salt water, some salted water is okay. Water from the ocean is great. But otherwise, I think that these methods that I'm about to show you are really great everyday ways of clearing your crystals effectively. So now we're going to cut to a few of these methods, and I will explain them to you and show you how they work. Okay, so this is actually my favorite way of clearing stones. I wouldn't quite call it my signature, but I'd go pretty close because I love this method. This is a bowl of organic, uncooked brown rice. I love using this to clear my crystals after working with them because it also charges them. And this is really easy. You just take your crystals, okay, you bury it down in the brown rice, about an inch under the surface. These are actually some crystals that I was using in healing work earlier today. Make sure that they stay spaced apart so that you don't have crystals touching each other. I'll plunk one right down in the middle. And that's it. You leave them in there for about an hour. You can even leave them in overnight if you wanted to. I wouldn't go longer than that, but an hour to overnight. And then you'll pull them back out and they'll be clean and charged and good as new. So this is my favorite way of cleaning crystals. Now, as an alternative, you can use the soil of a potted plant. Now, if you're not living in a high-rise in New York and you actually have a garden, that's even better. You can also bury them in a garden. But a potted plant will do as well. Now, one thing to bear in mind, some crystals do dissolve and weaken in water, like physically dissolve and weaken in water. So if this is a plant that you've watered any time recently, make sure any crystals that you bury in there aren't going to dissolve in that wet soil. But these ones are fine, amethyst, black tourmaline, okay? So you can actually bury them under the earth like that. Again, keeping them separate. Try not to kill the plant while you're doing it. You can also even sit them on top of the soil, right, touching the plant, and the plant will help to clean off and absorb the crystal. I do find though that takes a little more time and it's not as effective. I think burying it under the soil is much better. If you have a lot of stones like me that you need to clean, get a bigger plant. And I don't recommend having this as your go-to way every time because it could ultimately not be beneficial for the plant. But this is another way of clearing the energy of a crystal. So now I'm going to show you 3 different ways to clear a crystal using sound vibration. I've got 3 different tools here. You're not limited to these tools, but these are the 3 that I like and that I work with most commonly when I use this method for clearing crystals and stones. I've got a crystal tuning fork here. I have Tibetan tingsas, and I also have a Tibetan singing bowl. Now, some people say to me, okay, well, how do I know when the crystal's energy is clear? You will know because the sound that's coming off the tuning fork, the tingsha, or the Tibetan bowl will increasingly get louder and clearer. And once you really hear that sound very loud and clear bouncing off that crystal, you know that that crystal has been cleared. So now I'll show you exactly how to do this. You can also clear crystals by holding them under cool running water. I like to rub them a little bit with my thumb, just giving them a little extra tender loving care. Also, it gives me a greater sense of when I feel that their energy has been cleared and they're back to a nice neutral charged place. And the great thing about using sage to clear crystals, or anything for that matter, is it really doesn't matter if you believe in it or not. It's rather like soap. As long as you use it, you'll get clean. You can also clear a crystal's energy in a pinch by shaking it and then blowing on it. So shake and blow. This isn't a good way to clear them in the long run, but if you're in a store and you want to see what the energy is like and you want to clear it off, or if you're doing healing treatments and you need to clear something off in a pinch, you can do it this way. Additionally, I add in a few Reiki symbols, but those are secret unless you've been attuned. So there you have it, a bunch of different ways and methods of clearing your crystals. You don't have to do all of these. Pick the one that feels most practical to you, the one that you think you can do the most easily and the most consistently, and just roll with that one. As I said, for me, it's the bowl of brown rice. I can just bury them in there and leave them for an hour and then come back to them. So thank you very much for watching, and stay tuned. Our next video is going to be on how to charge your crystals.